Once you actually begin writing your paper, one thing that you're going to want to pay attention to are the MLA guidelines and the MLA format for how your paper should look. There are certain procedures and guidelines that are going to tell you exactly how your paper should look on the page, exactly how to cite your sources, and so on. So what we're going to do now is give you a quick overview of the basic format of how to set up your paper and what it should look like. So the first thing that we will check out is what is MLA format, just so we have an understanding. MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, and the Modern Language Association sets guidelines that provide a writer with a method for formatting papers and citing research. This is the method that is used primarily in the humanities areas and in the English world. As you leave high school and move into college, you will probably, there's a 99% probability that you will see MLA format in the future. So this is a good thing for you to have a good understanding of and a foundation of at this point in your school career. The first thing that we will look at is the MLA heading, and this is the very first thing that you will type on your page. It is always on the left side of your paper. It always starts at the very top, and like the remainder of the paper, it always is going to be double spaced. It's always going to include these 4 elements, which is your name, your teacher's name, the class name, and the date that the paper is turned in. This is always going to be written in military style with the actual day first, followed by the month, written out in letters, and the 4-digit year. So you always want to remember, instead of 3-12-13, March 12th of 2013 would be written 12 March 2013. The header is also something that we'll see at the top of the paper. It's different in the heading, in that the header is going to appear from page 2 through the rest of the paper, and it's going to be in the top right corner, and the only elements that will be included will be your last name and the page number. There's really no reason to put the header on that very first page because you've already included your name on the in the heading itself. So it's just a little redundant to do that. But this will appear from page 2 and beyond. Here are some quick directions that will help you set up that header. There are several ways you can do it. You can set the header through if you use Microsoft Office, through the tools that are available. Here are steps for Microsoft Office 2003 and 2007. Or you could simply, at the top of each page, type your name and the page number. And I'll show you in just a second what that will look like. Here are some overall guidelines to follow as you're typing your paper. Everything is double spaced. In fact, it's a really good idea before you even begin to set up your paper's formatting tools in the double spaced format. To do that, you'll click paragraph, and this is in Microsoft Office, and then choose line spacing. You also have to choose a very standard font. It can be no bigger than 12 point. Traditionally, Times New Roman is the font that is favored by MLA format, but in recent years, with popularity of a couple other fonts, we also could accept Calibri, which is generally the default now for Microsoft Office, or Arial, both no bigger than 12 point font. You also will include or set up your margins to be 1 inch all the way around your paper. That includes top and bottom, also left and right. They have to be 1 inch. One thing that we often see people do that you want to remember not to do when writing in MLA format is don't underline or italicize your title. You will include a title, but you want to make sure that it is not underlined or italicized. Things that you would underline or italicize would include plays, novels, any publications that can stand on their own. Short stories, poems, magazine articles, those sorts of things that appear inside something else, those things receive quotation marks. But the title itself will not be underlined. The title should be centered, and we'll look again in just a second about how exactly that will look. One thing this is a little different. This is one of the things that's a little different from writing your traditional 5-paragraph essay, is the inclusion of quotes and information from your outside research. The thing to keep in the back of your mind that is of the utmost importance is any information that comes from a source other than your own brain has to be cited. That's even if you don't use a direct quote. If you have read an article and then you've kind of paraphrased it, you still have to give credit to that author. All quotes have to be cited, and in a different presentation we'll show you how to include those citations within the paper. So we're going to check out real quick a sample paper, and this is at the online writing lab that Purdue University has established. We're going to visit this site frequently, as it is an extremely informational site, especially when we are looking at MLA format. This particular sample paper has a lot of annotations that are going to be helpful to you. If we take a look, so all of these boxes naturally would not appear in your paper, but if we take a look over here on the left hand side, here's the header that we talked about, that it begins at the very first part of your paper. We have the name, the teacher's name, the name of the course, and the date. They're military style. We just have a double spaced, everything is double spaced, and notice the paper itself is double spaced. We have the title, which is not underlined, but it's centered in the paper. Everything within the paper is double spaced. Notice the margins. It's hard to tell without looking at the exact settings, but the margins are 1 inch all around. And this paper is in 12-point Times New Roman. It tells us that over here in this particular box. So that's the basic formatting. If we look at page 2, you can see the heading. We have the writer's last name and the page number, and that will continue. There's the page 3, page 4. That will continue all the way through to the works cited page, which we'll talk about in a different slide. So those are the basics for our setup of our paper for MLA format. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to get started.